So I wanted to test out to see if shooting with baked-in LUTs into my ZV-E1 would be beneficial to be faster with my turnaround for files when I'm videoing so I can be more fast and efficient. See, I'm actually currently filming with it right now, baked in, and I'm gonna be just doing kind of like a little bit of, minor post-processing essentially, and that's the hope of it, because my goal is to see if it's gonna be essentially a good thing to do when I'm maybe tight on budget for a client work or maybe tight on time, and I'll be fast and efficient to just have my baked-in LUT into the file itself and then do minor adjustments in post. And I know it's not gonna be perfect because most of the time, even though having your LUT into the file itself could be good, I'm sure you're gonna have to do some post-processing to make sure that you get it as close as possible of what it would be to a final image, but I wanted to test this out regardless. I think personally, because it's going to be baked into the image itself, I'm not that hopeful that it'll be that great of quality because I'm sure it's gonna have some limitations, not scientifically kind of proven here that I know because I looked it up or anything. It's just gonna be the examples in real life, because I think the best way to see if something works is to create real examples for viewership so that it can help you out and help myself out. Personally, for me, I actually like color grading. I like shooting an S-Log3 with the Sony kind of style that it has with it, and then doing my color grade in post because I have more control of the image, regardless if it takes me a little bit longer. But since I do love having my baked-in LUTs to be able to see things how it is in camera when I'm looking at the screen over here, it helps me out to know if I'm getting the right image or not. And I want to just go ahead and test it out to see if having it baked in would work out as you're seeing it currently. I'll give you a little bit of an example in a second where it shows you the S-Log3 kind of doing it in post, so you can see how I would do it with that, and then see what the aftermath would be with having it baked in, so that you can see a little bit of a difference maybe, or maybe there's no difference at all, but I'm sure there's going to be some difference because depending how it bakes it into the camera file and how I'm able to post-process it for the other one with the S-Log3, it could be a good scenario or it could be just pretty horrible. So this is the file with just a baked-in LUT so that you can see how it looks in camera before I show you with the S-Log3. So I'm gonna just sit here for a little bit, and that way you can have the side-by-side comparison instantly right now. But that was the example, kind of a little bit of the side to side to see it a little bit on the outside, just so you can get an idea of what it would look like in camera versus doing the S-Log3 and then the post-processing, so you can see maybe a difference in the dynamic range or if it's perfectly fine and it's very usable. So I want to go see how this looks now indoors. So we're going to keep shooting with the baked-in LUTs and go ahead and see what it looks like. But now that we're inside, I kind of want to get a little bit of videoing in here to see how the dynamic range will be. Is it going to be too noisy or not? I've done a little bit of sample footages before filming this video to just see what I was getting myself into, honestly, and see how it would work out. And honestly, my initial test when I was just kind of doing a little bit when I was making some coffee, I noticed a lot of grain and everything with the exposure. So for me, my guess is that I have to get it as perfectly in camera for it to really work out with the, baked-in LUTs. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, if with having a little bit better lighting and trying to expose it like how I would with the S-Log3, despite of it kind of looking a little bit different in the camera, the screen over here, just to see if that's a better way to do it so that you can have the most dynamic range, and then just bring it back in post just minorly so that you're not having to go as extreme as you would with the full-on color grade. And that's something that I just want to test out even right now, trying to use the window light a little bit more with just the background itself to see does it look right or not, and trying to get a little bit as much as I can see in the screen itself to kind of create this and how it's going to look in post as well. You get to see it before me, obviously, so it's something that you guys can see before I can, so that you can get an idea of how it's looking. But this is basically how it works with the baked-in LUT. So honestly, for me, it can be kind of good or bad, because at the end of the day, I like the color grading and I like to have the flexibility of everything that I want to have. But the whole purpose of this is, if you don't have the budget, maybe for a client work, and you don't want to do as much color grading, could this be a good solution? Could it be a good solution if you're, constrained in time to be able to create faster? Or simply, is it just going to be something that is actually very beneficial so that you're not having to do as much post-processing, so that you can do a little bit of all of it together to save yourself time and money? that's just my guess that I'm trying to figure out myself right now. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go into this living room where I usually do some videoing just to kind of see how it looks in camera and how it'll look itself, to know if I could use it maybe more for a sitting down type of shoot where I know the environment is a lot more control. That way it can save me into the post-processing as well. So we're gonna go over there so you can see it for yourself and get an idea of it as well. Anyway, so this is where I would kind of set up myself sometimes to do some videoing that I've done a bit of kind of short films that I've done for vlogs and everything like that, sitting here because of the lighting. I like how the window light comes through, and then we have those kind of backlit stuff, and having it only with the baked-in LUTs seems that it would be kind of cool to be able to just do a quick setup for myself if I know I have the controlled environment, especially where I can have my key light coming through, window light a little bit, background lights there for just, separation, and then have something quick and about that I can just go ahead and do for talking, If I have to do my talking head videos at home and then have my B-roll from over there that I only have to maybe color grade, that could be a cool little setup to have. And that's something that I'm really kind of excited to put more to the test and kind of see how well it works with my workflow, because to me, it's just being fast and efficient will always be the best thing that I can have when it comes down to the gear that I own. So I just want to kind of go ahead and talk a little bit of my final thoughts when it comes down to using the baked-in LUTs, at least from my experience of seeing it a little bit in the computer and getting a better idea of how it works. For me personally, I'm still probably going to be doing more of the S-Log3, with the post-processing of things and just color grading myself, because one, I enjoy it, and two, I think the flexibility of it might be better. But I know I have this as a backup to use when needed, and I have a tight budget or time that I can get it in camera as much as possible to be able to do it, faster turnaround, I guess. Like I said, you're gonna have to really go ahead and get it really great in camera, because I feel like if you don't do it, you lose a lot of information, I guess, from what I can tell whenever I was trying to do in post, a little bit of just seeing the files and how they were working, especially when the lighting wasn't as properly whenever I was trying to do it indoors. And I was thinking I was doing it right in camera by looking at the screen itself because it looked good in there. But then once you start getting into your computer for setup, it didn't really look that great to me. I mean, it was very grainy and everything like that. So it's one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to test out a couple things more and see what the outcome would be for you to see and for myself to learn as well. But I think this is something beneficial to test out, because I've had people ask me about the custom LUTs since I've made a couple of videos about it, and they've reached out on Instagram and things like that, where they ask me, would the baked-in LUTs work in better if I just wanted to do that for my videography, or should I just still only use a custom LUTs in camera to see how the image is looking for a rough kind of general draft, and then go ahead and do everything in post with actually doing the proper color grade? And at the end of the day, it's gonna be what works best for you. For me personally, I just think the color grading part of like filmmaking and stuff like that is very fun to do to get everything the right image. Obviously getting it right in camera is probably gonna be the most beneficial thing whatsoever, but it's good to have the option to have the baked-in LUTs to use it as something quick and easy to a certain degree. It could be also depending on the LUTs that you're using, so just make sure that you have the right ones that would work best for your color grade and everything to be good in camera, so that if you choose to do that route, it could help you out in the long run, and then you have the better, outcome than possibly I did or something like that. But it's just a learning experience, and I think it's something beneficial that hopefully it'll help you out to know if this is the right method to do for, having baked-in LUTs into your files, or if you want to just save it more for the post editing, just to get an idea when you look into your screen, have that, kind of idea of how it'll look, so that in post-processing you can do whatever you need to, so that if you ever need to come back to it, you can go ahead and color grade it to your new style or liking if you want to add it to maybe your portfolio. Personally, I wouldn't use this, baked-in LUTs for client work all the time, unless it's something just quick and easy that's not going to be, revisited ever. But if it's something that you're going to want to add to your portfolio and you're going to want to update eventually, it's obviously better just to shoot in log mode so that you have more creative, freedom in the future. But that's just me. So take that with what you will, and hopefully it'll help you out. But go ahead and leave me a comment down below of what you think about the baked-in LUTs. Is it something that you would use, or do you prefer to color grade yourself, to get it correctly in post a lot nicer with maybe a little bit more dynamic range into that aspect of what you can do with the image itself? But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you.